Hey everybody, today we are going over setting up your own map and spawn points, as well as how the capture point system works. But before we jump in, I want to show a diagram illustrating how capture point system works. The capture points are based on numerical values in terms of how many steps it takes to get to the opposite team's starting flag. So in this case, there are only 3 steps. So when you feed that route information to each of the main spawn points, it gives your map multiple options to choose from. So every time you start a new match, it'll randomly select from one of the routes that you've designated between your spawn points. Okay, so let's shift back into UE4. As you can see, this map looks awfully similar to the diagram I just showed you. I want to talk to you about how to set up the mini map quick before we go into the capture points. It's super simple. All you have to do is add 2 empty actors into the world and then reference them here by the boundary marker A and B. So just to run you through it quick, all you got to do is go to the place actors tab, pull out 2 empty actors. Now when you scroll down to your world settings, you're going to find these in the drop down, 1 and 2. Hit generate minimap. Now since I just threw the empty actors down right there, do you notice how zoomed in my minimap texture is now that I hit generate? And the reason is when we set these actors down, we didn't actually position them correctly. So what we want to do is position these either corner, opposite corners of one another. And that way the game is able to take an adequate snapshot of the landscape. Okay, so now that we adjusted where those boundary markers are, we can go back, hit Alt-G to go back to perspective mode. Now we'll go back to the world settings with them, with the boundary markers in the correct place, generate minimap, and there we go. See, now that looks much more acceptable. So now let's take a closer look at all the capture points. So just for your own reference, this is called the BP HD capture point base, and that's located in an HD core content folder under placeables. Now that we've gone over everything, hopefully this is a little easier to understand. So obviously you have the starting team that you set, blue, red, or no team, capture display name, capture radius, it's the interaction distance to capture the flag. For main capture points, make sure this is unchecked. This should not be recapturable because you should always have a spawn point. Obviously, you need to keep this checked. Provide a spawn point. Providing spawn point while you're under attack is if there are enemies within a certain radius of you, and in turn, that'll prevent you from spawning if they're too close. We have everything set up to launch into our map now. And just a side note, by default, the default game mode is advanced and secure game mode, just in case you're wondering. So if you don't have any overrides in here, it's going to default to that. You have it. Super basic. And then just to show you what the map does every time you fire up a new match, it'll change spawn point randomly. Sometimes it's not always random, but there's only 3 spots. So all right, that covers everything for the maps and spawn points. We'll get to rule sets and other things along those lines soon. That's all I have for this video. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.